Mom chuckled. No wonder you're still single at 35. I grinned and replied, funny thing, I've been married 3 years. You just weren't invited. The family picture slipped from her hands. Imagine this. Your own mother, in front of your entire family, mocks your pathetic single life. What she didn't know was that, for 3 years, I'd been happily, secretly married, and that hidden wedding band around my neck was about to shatter her perfect world. This wasn't just a moment of comeuppance. It was the explosive culmination of a lifetime of criticism, control, and a choice I never thought I'd have to make. Growing up, my relationship with my mother, Diane Anderson, felt like walking on eggshells scattered across a perfectly polished marble floor. She was the epitome of suburban perfection, blonde hair always in place, clothes ironed to a crisp, and an untarnished reputation as the country club president. And she expected nothing less from me, her only daughter. My father, Thomas, was my soft landing. He'd wink at me across the dinner table when Mom launched into another lecture about posture or joining the right clubs. Haley Bear, he'd say, just be yourself. That's more than enough. But when I turned 12, Dad suffered a sudden heart attack. And just like that, it was just Mom and me in our too big house with too many expectations. After he died, Mom's grip tightened. Every report card was scrutinized, every friend vetted, every outfit approved or rejected. Haley, Harvard doesn't accept B+ students, she'd declare. Haley, that skirt makes your hips look wide. There was always something to improve, something wrong with me. By high school, I was an expert at anticipating her criticisms. I joined all the right clubs, maintained a 4.0 GPA, and dated boys from good families. David Jenkins, her favorite, had the personality of cardboard and hands that wandered too freely, but Mom would just say, now there's a boy with a future. The real problem started in college. Mom had my entire future mapped out. Ivy League, law or medicine, and marriage to someone from our social circle by 25. I dutifully went to Columbia, but I chose English literature instead of pre-law. Poetry won't pay the bills, Haley, she'd sigh, that disappointed sound I'd come to dread. After graduation, the pressure to find the perfect match became unbearable. She'd host dinner parties, conveniently inviting eligible sons of her friends. Margaret's son just made partner, she'd whisper, loud enough for everyone to hear. Each potential suitor was paraded before me like prize cattle. If I dated someone of my own choosing, Mom found ways to sabotage it. She accidentally mentioned my childhood bedwetting to Michael. She aggressively questioned Paul's career. And when I brought home Tony, a brilliant art historian, she simply looked him up and down and said, I suppose some women don't mind being the breadwinner. Poof! Relationship over. By 25, I was suffocating. The constant criticism, the disapproval, the feeling that I could never measure up. So, when a job opportunity came up in Seattle, 2,000 miles away, I jumped. Running away won't find you a husband, Mom snapped as I packed. You'll end up alone. I moved anyway, telling myself it was just for a year or two. The truth was, I still desperately longed for her approval. Every small success I'd measure against. Would this finally be enough to make Mom proud? But as the distance grew, I started to breathe more freely, to discover who I was. What I didn't know then was that 2,000 miles wouldn't be far enough to escape her shadow, nor did I realize my search for independence would lead me to the love that would change everything. I met Adam Hayes 6 months after moving to Seattle. First day at Horizon Technologies, already 10 minutes late, when I literally crashed into him, spilling coffee all over his wrinkled blue shirt. I'm so sorry, I gasped, mortified. He looked down at the dark stain, then back at me with the most genuine smile. This shirt was due for retirement anyway, he said, extending his hand. Adam Hayes, lead software engineer, and now walking coffee advertisement. He had unruly dark hair, glasses that kept sliding down his nose, and a relaxed demeanor that was a stark contrast to the high-strung personalities I'd grown up around. He showed me to my meeting, then offered a proper tour that somehow extended to lunch. I learned he was from a small Oregon town, the son of a teacher and a nurse, put himself through college. I just want to build things that help people, he said simply. Titles and corner offices never interested me much. I could already hear my mother's assessment. No ambition, no family connections, probably no savings account. but his authenticity drew me in. We became friends, grabbing lunch, exchanging emails. 3 months in, during a happy hour, we were the last two at the table. We talked about everything: work, books, childhood dreams. I told him about my secret passion for photography, something I'd abandoned because Mom called it a hobby, not a career. He listened, then insisted we leave immediately to buy me a camera. "Life is too short not to do what you love," he said. That night, walking me to my door, Adam kissed me for the first time. It was gentle, questioning, but I leaned in, feeling something click into place that I hadn't known was missing. Over the next 6 months, our relationship blossomed. We hiked through lush forests, explored tiny bookstores, and spent rainy Sundays cooking. Adam encouraged my photography, framing my pictures, proudly showing them off. For the first time, I felt seen for who I was, not for who someone wanted me to be. Adam never tried to change me. He loved my quirks, listened to my dreams, and made me feel like I was enough, just as I was. Of course, I knew the honeymoon wouldn't last forever. The real test would come when Adam met my mother. I put it off as long as possible, but when Mom announced she was visiting Seattle, there was no avoiding it. I spent days preparing Adam. "She can be critical," I warned. "She has very specific ideas about the kind of person I should be with." Adam squeezed my hand. "Haley, I love you. Your mom might not approve of me right away, but I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure it out." The dinner was every bit the disaster I'd anticipated. Mom arrived 15 minutes early, immaculately dressed. Her eyes narrowed when Adam, in his casual button-down, stood to greet her. "So, Adam," she began, "Haley tells me you work with computers. Is there much future in that?" It was the first volley in a 3-hour interrogation. She questioned his education, a state school. How quaint! His family, teachers are so underappreciated, though I suppose it explains your salary expectations. And his 5-year plan, no aspirations to management. How unusual for a man your age. Adam remained polite, trying to find common ground, but Mom wasn't interested. She was conducting an assessment, and he was failing spectacularly. By dessert, I was fighting back tears of humiliation. When Adam excused himself, Mom leaned across the table. "Darling, he seems nice enough for a casual relationship, but surely you cannot be serious about him. He has no connections, no real ambition. You'd be supporting him within 5 years. Mark my words." When Adam returned, she switched tactics, regaling him with stories of suitable men back east. "William just made junior partner at his father's firm," she said, smiling at me pointedly. "He always asks about you, Haley." Later, Adam held me as I cried. "I'm so sorry," I sobbed. "She was horrible to you." "Hey," he said gently, wiping my tears. "I didn't fall in love with your mother. I fell in love with you. And if it takes her some time to warm up to me, that's okay. We have time." But as months passed, it became clear Mom had no intention of warming up. She called more frequently, always with news about someone from back home getting engaged or promoted. "Life is moving on without you, Haley," she'd say. "Don't waste your youth on dead-end relationships." Adam never complained, but I saw the toll it took on him. His smile fading when her name appeared on my phone, the quiet resignation when I'd cancel our plans for her. Despite everything, he remained patient, loving, supportive, and I fell more deeply in love with him every day, even as I worried about our future. 6 months into our relationship, Mom's interference shifted from passive-aggressive comments to active sabotage. It started with a little surprise. She'd arranged for James Whitmore, a recently divorced investment banker, to accidentally be in Seattle during her next visit. "James is staying at the Four Seasons for a conference," she said innocently, and he remembered how you two hit it off at the Millers' Christmas party years ago. I had no recollection of ever meeting him, but that didn't stop her from orchestrating an awkward dinner where she practically pushed me into his lap while Adam watched in stunned silence. "Haley graduated cum laude from Columbia," she told James, completely ignoring Adam. "She could have gone to law school, but she decided to explore her options first. Such a shame, but it's never too late, is it?" After that dinner, the floodgates opened. Suddenly, Mom was connecting me with every eligible bachelor passing through Seattle. Michael, the neurosurgeon, Christopher, the hedge fund manager, Tyler, the attorney. The phone calls became more frequent, more pointed. Haley, darling, I'm just concerned about your future. You're approaching 30. Do you really want to waste these crucial years on someone who will never fit into our world? Adam is my world now, Mom. I'd counter, only to be met with a heavy sigh. You always were stubborn, just like your father. Look how that turned out for him. Working himself to death, in a job that never appreciated him. That comment, bringing my father into it, broke something inside me. Don't talk about Dad that way. I cried, my voice shaking. He was happy. He loved his work and his life. Not everything is about status and connections. Clearly Adam has been filling your head with this bohemian nonsense, she replied coldly. Your father could have been so much more if he had listened to me. I will not stand by and watch you make the same mistakes. The tension reached a breaking point during the annual family reunion at my Aunt Patricia's lake house. Mom had insisted I come alone, claiming it was family only, but I knew it was because she didn't want to introduce Adam to the extended family. Against my better judgment, I agreed, not wanting to cause a scene. I should have known she had ulterior motives. She'd invited Bradley Wilson, the recently divorced son of her college friend, who was apparently looking for a nice girl to settle down with. Bradley was handsome in a generic way, with perfectly coiffed hair and a country club tan. He was also arrogant, condescending, and wouldn't stop talking about his Porsche. During dinner, Mom clinked her glass. I have a little announcement, she said, beaming. Bradley has just been made partner at Wilson & Associates, and he has generously offered to give Haley some career advice. Isn't that wonderful? Before I could respond, she added, who knows? Maybe he can convince her to move back east where she belongs. The entire table turned to look at me, expectant smiles on their faces. I felt trapped, cornered. Actually, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, I'm very happy with my job in Seattle, and I'm in a serious relationship. Mom's smile froze. Haley is being modest. This little marketing job is just a stepping stone, isn't it, darling? And as for this boy she's seeing, well, summer flings are so nice, but winter is coming. The table erupted in laughter, indulgent and slightly pitying. My face burned with humiliation. Later, as Bradley cornered me on the porch with thinly veiled propositions, I texted Adam. I can't do this anymore. Can you come get me? 3 hours later, Adam's modest Honda pulled into the circular driveway. The look on Mom's face when I introduced him to everyone and announced we were leaving together was a mixture of shock, anger, and embarrassment. You're making a scene, Haley, she hissed as I gathered my things. No, Mom, I replied, loud enough for nearby relatives to hear. You've been making a scene since the day I introduced you to Adam. The drive back to Seattle was tense. For the first time, Adam didn't try to smooth things over. I can't keep doing this, Haley, he said, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I love you, but your mother is never going to accept me, and I can't spend the rest of our lives being treated like I'm not good enough. Are you breaking up with me? I asked, my heart pounding. He sighed deeply. No. I'm asking you to make a choice. Either we find a way to set boundaries with your mother, or this relationship isn't going to survive. The next few weeks were some of the hardest of my life. I tried explaining to Mom that her behavior was damaging my relationship, but she dismissed my concerns. If your relationship cannot withstand a mother's natural concern, then it's not strong enough to begin with. Meanwhile, tensions with Adam grew. We started arguing about small things, the pressure from my family casting a shadow over our once easy relationship. I'd wake up crying silently, torn between the two people I loved most. The breaking point came when Mom showed up unannounced one Sunday morning. Adam and I were enjoying a lazy breakfast when the doorbell rang. There stood Mom, designer suitcase in hand, announcing she decided to spend some quality time with me. For the next week, she dominated every conversation, criticized everything, and made it impossible for Adam and me to have any private time. When Adam suggested dinner to clear the air, Mom declined, claiming a headache, only to call an hour later asking me to come home because she was lonely. After Mom finally left, Adam and I had the biggest fight of our relationship. She's never going to stop, Haley, he said, pacing our small living room. She'll keep interfering until she gets what she wants, which is us breaking up. What am I supposed to do? I cried. She's my mother. And I want to be your husband, he shouted back, then stopped abruptly, looking as surprised by the words as I was. In the stunned silence, we both realized we were at a crossroads. Something had to change, or we would lose each other. Neither of us knew then just how dramatic that change would be, or how it would alter the course of both our lives forever. 2 months later, Adam and I took a weekend trip to the San Juan Islands, eager to escape the tension. We stayed in a small cottage, hiking by day, watching sunsets by night. On our second night, Adam suggested a walk along the beach. The moon was full, casting a silver path across the water. "Do you remember the first time we went to the coast?" Adam asked, skipping a stone. "You tried to impress me with your surfing skills and ended up with a bloody nose." I smiled. He laughed. "Not my finest moment. But you took care of me, and that's when I knew." "Knew what?" "That you were the one I wanted to spend my life taking care of and being taken care of by." Before I could respond, Adam was down on one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a modest diamond surrounded by tiny sapphires, the color of the sea. "Haley Anderson, I have loved you since the moment you spilled coffee all over my favorite shirt. I love your kind heart, your quiet strength, your determination to see the good in people, even when they make it difficult." He took a deep breath. "I know things have been hard with your family, but I promise to stand by you through whatever comes next. Will you marry me?" Tears filled my eyes. I just nodded, unable to speak. When he slipped the ring onto my finger, it felt right, in a way few things in my life ever had. We spent the rest of the evening dreaming about our future, deliberately avoiding the elephant in the room, how my mother would react. Reality crashed back in the moment we returned to Seattle. I knew I had to tell her, and I knew it wouldn't go well. After 3 days of putting it off, I finally called her. My hands shook so badly, I could barely hold the phone. "Haley, darling, what a nice surprise. I was just thinking about you. Patricia's daughter just got engaged to the most wonderful boy from Greenwich." I took a deep breath. "Mom, I have some news too. Adam asked me to marry him, and I said yes." The silence was so complete, I thought the call had dropped. Then came her voice, cold and controlled. "I see. And when did this happen?" "Last weekend. We went to the San Juan Islands." "Have you set a date?" she interrupted. "Not yet. Maybe next spring." "There's still time to reconsider," she cut in again. "Darling, engagements break all the time. No one would think less of you." I gripped the phone tighter. "Mom, I'm not breaking the engagement. I love Adam, and we are getting married." "Haley Elizabeth Anderson," she said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You cannot possibly be serious about marrying that nobody. What about your future? What about children? Do you want them growing up without the advantages you had?" "Adam is not a nobody," I said, my temper rising. "He is brilliant and kind and loves me for who I am, not who he wants me to be." "Is that a dig at me?" she asked sharply. "After everything I've done for you, I've only ever wanted what's best for you." "No, Mom. You've only ever wanted what you think is best for me. There's a difference." The conversation deteriorated. Mom alternated between icy fury and tearful manipulation, telling me I was throwing away my future, breaking her heart. "Your father would be so disappointed," she said, delivering the cruelest blow. "Dad would have loved Adam." I countered, tears streaming down my face. "He would have seen what a good man he is." "Well, your father isn't here, is he? And I am telling you this is a mistake. If you marry that man, Haley, don't expect me to be there. In fact, don't expect me to be in your life at all. If you choose him over your family, Haley, don't ever call me mother again." The line went dead. I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. That's how Adam found me an hour later. He held me as I told him everything. "She said she disowned me, Adam. She said not to call her mother anymore." Adam's face was grim, but his voice was gentle. "Haley, I love you more than anything, but I need you to be sure. If you want to call off the engagement, I will understand." I looked up at him through swollen eyes. "Is that what you want?" "No," he said firmly. "I want to marry you. I want us to build a life together, but I don't want to be the reason you lose your family." I thought about my mother's ultimatum, her constant criticism and manipulation, the way she had never accepted my choices. Then I thought about Adam, who had loved and supported me unconditionally, who had never tried to change me. "You are not the reason," I said finally. "I'm not calling off the engagement, Adam. I want to marry you." But what? I took a deep breath, the kernel of an idea forming. "But I don't think I can face a big wedding with her there. Or worse, with her making everyone miserable. What would you think about eloping? Just us, somewhere beautiful, without all the drama." Adam studied my face carefully. "Are you sure that's what you want? Not just to avoid your mother, but really what you want for our wedding?" I nodded, a strange sense of relief washing over me. "Yes, just us, making promises to each other. That's all that matters to me." 2 weeks later, we were married in a small ceremony on the same beach where Adam had proposed. His parents were there, along with his sister and her husband, and my 2 closest friends. It was simple, intimate, and perfect in every way, except for the hollow space where my family should have been. As we exchanged vows, with the sound of waves crashing behind us, I made another silent promise to myself. I would not let my mother's absence taint this day or our future together. I was choosing happiness, choosing love, choosing Adam. It was the hardest decision I had ever made, but looking into the eyes of the man who loved me completely, I knew it was the right one. What I didn't know then was that this decision would set in motion a chain of events that would force me to live a double life for the next 3 years, a life of secrets and omissions that would eventually collide in the most dramatic way possible. Our honeymoon was a week in a small coastal town in Oregon. For that one perfect week, I didn't think about my mother. But reality returned when we got back to Seattle. Mom had called twice, leaving messages as if nothing had happened. "Haley, darling, Janet Williams is hosting a charity gala next month, and I thought you might want to fly back for it. Her son, Stephen, just finished his residency at Mass General." It was as if she completely erased our last conversation, along with my engagement. When I finally called her back, I carefully avoided any mention of the wedding. "I can't make it to Janet's gala," I said. "Work is really busy right now." "Always work with you," she sighed. "Well, when are you coming to visit then?" "It's been months." This began the strangest chapter of my life. I kept in touch with Mom through carefully choreographed phone calls and occasional visits back east. On those trips, I'd remove my wedding ring and slip it onto a chain around my neck, hidden beneath my clothes. Adam never came, understanding it was easier this way, though I could see the hurt in his eyes each time I packed. When Mom visited Seattle, thankfully rare, I temporarily moved back into my old apartment, which we'd kept specifically for this purpose. Adam would stay with friends. The apartment was maintained as if I still lived there alone, complete with a single toothbrush and no male clothing in sight. "This place could use a man's touch," Mom would often comment. I'd smile tightly and change the subject, the weight of my secret life growing heavier with each lie. Meanwhile, Adam and I built our real life together in a cozy house we bought north of the city. We made friends with neighbors, joined a book club, and settled into the comfortable routines of married life. My career flourished. I was promoted to Senior Communications Director. Adam excelled in his role, developing recognized software. Every success, every happy moment, was shadowed by the knowledge that I was hiding half my life from my mother. There were times I almost told her, when the deception became unbearable, but then she'd make some cutting remark about Adam or my career, and I'd remember why I'd chosen this path. Our second anniversary coincided with unexpected news. I was pregnant. We'd been trying, but the reality still took my breath away. As the doctor confirmed it, Adam squeezed my hand, his face a mixture of joy and disbelief. "We're going to be parents," he whispered. The pregnancy brought our double life into sharp focus. How could I hide a child? Would I pretend to be a single mother? The question swirled as my body changed. We found out we were having a girl. Adam cried when the technician pointed to the screen. That night, discussing names, the reality hit me. "My mother doesn't even know she's going to be a grandmother," I said, tears filling my eyes. "What kind of person does that make me?" Adam held me close. "It makes you someone who had to make an impossible choice. You did what you had to do to protect yourself and our family. That doesn't make you a bad person." Lily Grace Hayes was born on a rainy Tuesday in October, 7 pounds, 2 ounces of perfect baby girl with Adam's dark hair and my green eyes. Holding her for the first time, I felt a love so fierce and protective it took my breath away. I also felt a renewed sense of grief for what my mother was missing. I sent Mom a text the day after Lily was born, carefully worded, no mention of Adam or marriage. Mom, I have some news. You are a grandmother. I had a baby girl yesterday, Lily Grace. We are both doing well. Her response came hours later, a flurry of shocked questions and barely concealed judgment. A baby, Haley? What are you talking about? Whose baby? Are you saying you had a child out of wedlock? Who is the father? Why am I just hearing about this now? I didn't answer her calls for 3 days. When I finally did, I gave her the edited version of the truth. Yes, I had a baby. No, I wasn't in a relationship with the father, technically true, as I was in a marriage, not just a relationship. Yes, I was planning to raise her on my own, with the support of my husband, which I didn't mention. Mom was predictably horrified. This is what happens when you move across the country away from your family and proper influences, she said, her voice cold with disapproval. I knew Seattle would lead to trouble. Well, you've made your bed, Haley. I suppose now you'll have to lie in it. She didn't ask to visit, and I didn't invite her. Instead, she sent an impersonal gift basket with expensive baby clothes and a card signed grandmother, rather than any personal message. It sat unopened in our hallway for days, a symbol of the gulf between us. As Lily grew from newborn to toddler, the weight of our secret life became increasingly difficult to bear. Adam's parents visited regularly, doting on their granddaughter, filling our home with laughter. My side of the family remained a conspicuous absence, explained away to friends with vague references to complicated family dynamics. The logistics of maintaining our charade grew more challenging. When Mom did occasionally visit Seattle, the temporary moves back to my old apartment now included packing up not just my things, but all evidence of Lily as well. I'd tell Mom Lily was staying with a friend, or with her father for a visitation. The lies piled upon lies, creating a precarious tower that I knew could not stand forever. Each deception required another until I could barely keep track of what I had told whom. The strain began to show in my relationship with Adam, in the dark circles under my eyes, in the way I would sometimes find myself staring at Lily and wondering if I was teaching her that it was okay to hide who you really are. By the time Lily turned 2, I was exhausted. Adam and I had begun discussing whether it was time to tell Mom the truth, to stop living in the shadows, regardless of the consequences. But every time I worked up the courage, something would happen to remind me why I had made this choice. A cutting remark from Mom about single motherhood, a pointed question about when I was going to get my life together and find a proper father for Lily. As Lily's 3rd birthday approached, and my own 35th loomed, the annual family reunion invitation arrived. This year, it would be held at my mother's house, a command performance I knew I couldn't avoid without raising suspicions. Little did I know, this reunion would be the catalyst that would finally bring my 2 worlds crashing together. I arrived at my mother's Connecticut home alone, as always. Lily and Adam remained in Seattle, a separation that felt more painful than ever. Mom greeted me with air kisses and a critical once-over. "Darling, you look tired," she said. "Is that child keeping you up at night still?" At 3, she really should be sleeping through. "Lily sleeps fine, Mom," I replied, setting down my suitcase. "It's just been busy at work." The house was immaculate, every surface gleaming. Family photos lined the hallway, carefully curated snapshots of a life that existed only in my mother's mind. There I was, in my graduation cap and gown, standing between Mom and Dad. Conspicuously absent were any photos of Lily, my own daughter, relegated to a secret that didn't fit the narrative of our perfect family. The reunion began that evening with dinner for immediate family. Aunt Patricia was there, my cousins, and Uncle James, my father's younger brother. Dinner was formal, served in the dining room I had always found intimidating. Mom prepared her famous beef Wellington. "So, Haley," Aunt Patricia began as we moved to dessert. "How is life as a single mother? It must be so difficult managing everything on your own." I felt my cheeks flush. "It's challenging sometimes, but we're doing well." "And the father?" Uncle James asked, always direct. "Is he in the picture at all?" Before I could answer, Mom cut in smoothly. "Haley prefers not to discuss that situation, James. Some decisions, once made, are best left in the past." The way she said it, with that slight edge, made it clear what she thought of my situation. I gripped my fork tightly, fighting the urge to tell them all the truth then and there. By the time I retreated to my old bedroom, I was emotionally exhausted. I called Adam, speaking in hushed tones. "I don't know if I can do this for another 2 days," I confessed. "Mom keeps making these comments, and everyone looks at me like I'm some cautionary tale." "Then tell them, Haley," Adam said simply. "Tell them the truth. Or come home. You don't have to stay there and take this." I sighed, looking around the room that had once been my sanctuary and now felt like a museum to a person I no longer was. I can't just leave. That would only make things worse, and I'm not ready to tell them yet. I need to find the right moment. The next day brought the extended family, filling the house with noise and activity. I moved through the crowd, carefully navigating any mention of my personal life. It was during the formal dinner that evening that everything came to a head. Mom had seated me between my accomplished cousin Rachel and great-aunt Eleanor, who specialized in unsolicited life advice. Mom stood at the head of the table, raising her glass. "To family," she said, beaming. "The most important thing in life." Murmurs of agreement. "And to new beginnings. Jessica and Matthew are expecting their first child in December, making me a great-aunt at last." Congratulations erupted. I felt a stab of pain, thinking of Lily, who was already 3 and had never been acknowledged this way. "And of course," Mom added, her gaze sliding to me, "we continue to hope that Haley will find her way. 35 and still single. But as they say, it's never too late." Laughter rippled around the table, indulgent and slightly pitying. I sat frozen, wine glass halfway to my lips as Mom continued. "Though perhaps it is time to accept that some women are simply meant for career success rather than family life. Not everyone can have it all after all." "Actually, Mom," I heard myself say, my voice clear and steady despite the thundering of my heart, "I'm not single." The table fell silent. All eyes turned to me. Mom's smile remained fixed, though her eyes narrowed. "Darling, what are you talking about? Have you been keeping secrets from your mother?" There it was. The perfect opening, delivered with just enough saccharine concern to mask the accusation. Something snapped inside me. 3 years of lies and pretense and hidden resentment finally broke free. "Yes, I have," I said, setting down my glass carefully. "I've been married for 3 years." The silence that followed was absolute. Mom's smile froze, her face a mask of confusion and disbelief. "What are you saying, Haley? This is not funny." "It's not a joke, Mom. I married Adam Hayes 3 years ago. The same Adam you said wasn't good enough for me. The same Adam who is Lily's father and my husband." Around the table, relatives exchanged shocked glances. Aunt Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. Uncle James let out a low whistle. "That's not possible," Mom said, her voice rising slightly. "You would have told me. You wouldn't have kept something like that from your own mother." I laughed, a sound without humor. "Wouldn't I? You told me if I married him, I should never call you mother again. You gave me an ultimatum, and I made my choice." "I never said that," she protested, looking around for support. "Haley is exaggerating. We had a disagreement about her boyfriend. That's all." "Husband," I corrected. "And you did say it. You said if I chose him over my family, not to call you mother anymore. So I did what you asked. I never told you I got married. I never told you Adam is Lily's father. I never told you about our house, or our life together, or any of it." Mom's hand trembled as she reached for her small clutch. She pulled out a silver-framed photo, the family portrait from my college graduation. "This is our family," she said, holding it up like evidence. "Just us. That was 10 years ago, Mom. This is our family now." I pulled out my phone, opening to a recent photo of Adam, Lily, and me at the park, our faces close together, smiling in the sunlight. I held it out to her. Mom stared at it for a long moment. Then, suddenly, the frame slipped from her fingers, crashing to the table and sending shards of glass across the pristine white tablecloth. "You lied to me," she whispered, her face pale. "For 3 years, you lied to my face." "Yes," I admitted. "I did. Because you gave me no choice. You made me choose between the man I love and my mother, and it broke my heart. But I chose Adam, and it was the right choice. He loves me for who I am, not for who he wants me to be." Mom pushed back from the table abruptly, her chair scraping loudly. "I think you should leave," she said, her voice shaking with anger or hurt, or both. "If this is how little our family means to you, that you would deceive us this way, then perhaps you don't belong here after all." I stood slowly, looking around at the shocked faces of my relatives. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way," I said to them. "I never wanted to lie to any of you, but Mom made it impossible for me to tell the truth." As I turned to leave, Uncle James spoke up. "Diane, this is ridiculous. She's your daughter. Are you really going to throw her out for getting married?" "Stay out of this, James," Mom snapped. "You have no idea what she has done." "What she has done is create a family," Aunt Patricia said quietly. "Is that really so unforgivable?" Mom didn't answer. Her back was rigid as she stared out the dining room window. I gathered my purse and walked to the door, pausing for a moment. "For what it's worth, Mom, I never wanted it to be this way. I always hoped someday you would accept Adam, accept us. I guess I was wrong." I walked out of the dining room with as much dignity as I could muster, though my legs felt weak and my hands were shaking. As I climbed the stairs to pack, I heard the murmur of voices rise behind me, arguments breaking out among the family members. In my room, I quickly threw my belongings into my suitcase, tears blurring my vision. I called Adam, who answered on the first ring. "Haley, what's wrong?" "I told them," I said, my voice breaking. "I told everyone about us, about our marriage. Mom kicked me out." "Are you okay? Where are you going to go?" "I'll get a hotel for tonight and fly home tomorrow." "I'm so sorry, Haley," he said softly. "I wish I was there with you." "Me too," I whispered. As I carried my suitcase downstairs, I found Uncle James waiting in the foyer. "I'll drive you to a hotel," he said, taking the bag from me. "This is not right, what Diane is doing." "Thank you," I managed, grateful for the small kindness. As we walked to the door, Mom appeared from the dining room. Her face was composed now, but her eyes were red. "So, you're really leaving," she said. Not quite a question. "You asked me to," I replied simply. She nodded once, a sharp, jerky movement. "You have made your choice clear, Haley." "No, Mom. You made the choice for both of us 3 years ago. I just lived with the consequences." I walked out the door without looking back, though I could feel her eyes on me as Uncle James loaded my suitcase into his car. As we pulled away from the house, I caught a glimpse of her in the doorway. A small, rigid figure framed by light, watching her daughter leave for what might be the last time. In the car, Uncle James glanced at me. "Your father would have liked Adam, you know. He never cared about all that status nonsense your mother is obsessed with." I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. We drove in silence to the hotel, where Adam had already booked me a room. Before I got out, Uncle James squeezed my hand. "Give her time, Haley. She's stubborn, but she loves you. Eventually, she'll realize what she's losing." I didn't believe him. Then, too raw from the confrontation to imagine any path to reconciliation. As I checked into the hotel alone, my family celebrating without me just miles away, I felt both a profound sense of loss and, surprisingly, relief. The secret was out. The double life was over. Whatever came next, at least I would face it honestly, with Adam by my side. The flight back to Seattle the next morning was a blur. I moved through the airport in a daze, replaying the previous night's events, analyzing every word, every expression. By the time the plane touched down, I had cycled through grief, anger, guilt, and back again multiple times. Adam and Lily were waiting at the arrival's gate, my daughter bouncing with excitement, a homemade sign reading, "Welcome home," Mommy clutched in her small hands. The sight of them, my real family, broke through the numbness that had enveloped me. I swept Lily into my arms, breathing in her sweet scent. "Missed you, Mommy," she whispered, and I had to bite my lip to keep from crying. Adam embraced us both, his steady presence anchoring me. "How are you holding up?" he asked quietly as we walked to the car. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "It feels like I've lost her all over again, but also like maybe I lost her years ago and just didn't want to admit it." The days that followed were strangely peaceful. The weight of secrecy had been lifted, and despite the pain of my mother's rejection, I felt lighter somehow. I threw myself into being present with Lily, savoring ordinary moments that had often been overshadowed by the stress of maintaining my double life. Morning cuddles, bedtime stories, weekend trips to the park, all took on a new sweetness now that they weren't tainted by lies. A week after the confrontation, I received a text from Aunt Patricia. "Your mother is not speaking to anyone who defended you," she wrote. "But several of us would like to keep in touch. Is that okay with you?" I sent back my email address and phone number, touched by the small rebellion. Over the next few weeks, I received messages from various family members. From my mother, there was only silence. I hadn't really expected anything else, yet each day that passed without contact deepened the ache of loss. Adam watched me check my phone obsessively, his eyes filled with concern, but he never pushed or offered empty reassurances. He simply loved me through it, steady and patient as always. A month after the reunion, a letter arrived, addressed to me in my mother's distinctive handwriting. I stared at it for a long time before finding the courage to open it. "Haley," it began, "no, dear," or other affectionate greeting. "I have been thinking about what happened at the reunion. While I cannot condone the deception you practiced for 3 years, I recognize that my own actions may have contributed to your decision. Your father always said I was too rigid, too concerned with appearances. Perhaps he was right." The letter continued for several pages, alternating between justified anger at my lies and reluctant acknowledgement of her role. It wasn't exactly an apology, but it was more self-reflection than I had ever seen from her. "I don't know where we go from here," she concluded, "but I find I am not ready to lose my only child or to continue missing out on my granddaughter's life. If you are willing, perhaps we could speak on the phone sometime." I cried as I read the letter, then read it again with Adam, analyzing every word. In the end, we decided together that it represented a genuine, if imperfect, olive branch. I called her the following Sunday. The conversation was stilted and awkward, both of us carefully avoiding anything that might trigger another confrontation. We talked about the weather, her garden, Lily's preschool. It was superficial, but it was a start. Those Sunday calls became a weekly ritual. Gradually, the conversations grew longer and more substantial. She asked questions about Adam, tentative at first, then with increasing interest. I shared stories about our life together, our home, our plans. She listened, occasionally offering comments that revealed she was still processing. "You own a house?" she asked during one call, surprise evident. "With a garden?" "Yes, Mom. Adam grows vegetables. Lily has her own little patch where she plants sunflowers." A pause. "Your father always wanted a vegetable garden. I never had the patience for it." 3 months after the reunion, Mom asked if she could visit. Adam and I discussed it at length, weighing the potential benefits against the risk of reopening old wounds. In the end, we decided to invite her, but on our terms this time. "You would be welcome to visit," I told her during our next call. "But you need to understand that this is our home, our life. I need you to respect that, to respect Adam as my husband and Lily's father." "I understand," she said, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. "I would like to try, Haley. I really would." Her first visit was tense, but civil. She arrived with an expensive doll for Lily and a bottle of wine, both peace offerings. When Adam greeted her at the door, she stiffly extended her hand, which he took with a warm smile that never faltered despite her obvious discomfort. Lily, unaware of the complex history, charmed Mom with her curiosity and energy. By the end of the first day, I caught Mom smiling genuinely as Lily showed her the collection of rocks she had gathered from our garden. That evening, after Lily was in bed, the 3 of us sat in the living room, the conversation halting and careful. Finally, Mom set down her wine glass and looked directly at Adam. "I owe you an apology," she said formally. "I judged you unfairly, based on superficial criteria that have nothing to do with your character or your ability to make my daughter happy. It is clear to me now that you have done that, made her happy, in ways I failed to recognize." Adam nodded, accepting her words with grace. "Thank you for saying that, Diane. All I have ever wanted is for Haley to be happy. We both want that." Mom turned to me then, her expression softening. "I have missed so much of your life, Haley. 3 years of marriage, Lily's birth and first steps. I will always regret that." "I regret the lies," I admitted. "I hated living that way, always hiding half my life from you. But I didn't see another option at the time." "There is blame enough for both of us," she said quietly. Perhaps we can do better going forward. It was the closest thing to a mutual understanding we had ever reached. The visit ended with tentative plans for Mom to return for Lily's birthday in October and a promise to send regular updates and photos. The healing process was slow and not without setbacks. Mom occasionally slipped into old patterns, making subtle digs about our modest home or questioning our parenting choices. But now, instead of swallowing my hurt or avoiding confrontation, I would calmly set boundaries. "That comment was hurtful, Mom," I would say. "If you continue speaking to us that way, we will have to end this visit early." To my surprise, she usually backed down, sometimes even apologizing. It seemed the fear of losing her connection to me and Lily outweighed her need to control and criticize. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. As the months passed, our relationship slowly transformed into something new, something healthier. Mom began to show genuine interest in Adam's work, in our life in Seattle, in the choices we had made together. She still occasionally expressed views that made me cringe, but the sharp edge of judgment had softened. On Lily's 4th birthday, Mom flew out for the celebration. She brought a photo album she had created, filled with pictures of me as a child, of Dad, of our family before everything fell apart, she said. So she knows where she comes from. That night after the party, I found Mom sitting on our back porch, looking at the stars. I joined her, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. "Thank you for coming," I said softly. "It meant a lot to Lily and to me." She nodded, still looking up at the sky. "Your father would have loved her so much. And he would have been proud of you, Haley. The life you have built, the mother you have become." I haven't said that enough. We sat in companionable silence for a while, the most peaceful moment we had shared in years. Finally, she spoke again. "I was wrong, you know. About Adam, about what makes a good life, about so many things. I was trying to protect you from disappointment, from struggle. Your father and I, we had our challenges. I wanted something easier for you." "Life is not easy, Mom," I said gently. "But having people who love you for who you really are makes the hard parts bearable. That's what Adam gives me. What Dad gave you, I think." She reached over and squeezed my hand, a rare physical gesture. "Yes," she said simply. "He did." The journey of healing with my mother continues to this day. We still have moments of tension, old wounds that occasionally reopen. But we have found a way forward based on honesty, respect, and the mutual recognition that family connections are too precious to sacrifice for pride or control. Through this difficult journey, I've learned invaluable lessons. I've learned that true love accepts you as you are, without conditions or expectations. I've learned that sometimes the hardest choices, the ones that hurt the most in the moment, lead to the greatest growth. I've learned that honesty, even when painful, is ultimately less destructive than deception. Most importantly, I've learned to define family, not by blood or obligation, but by love and choice. Adam and Lily are my first family, the one I chose and created. My mother is learning to be part of that family on new terms, ones that respect our autonomy and dignity. As I watch Lily playing with her grandmother in our garden now, I feel a sense of peace that once seemed impossible. The road here was longer and more painful than I ever imagined it would be. But standing in this moment, I know that every step was necessary. Our lives are shaped not just by the love we receive, but by the boundaries we set, the truths we tell, and the courage we find to be authentically ourselves, even when it costs us dearly. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do for ourselves and others is to stand firm in our truth, even when it hurts, because only then can real healing begin. So, I want to know, have you ever had to make a difficult choice between your family's expectations and your own happiness? How did you handle it? Tell me in the comments below, because I really want to hear your stories. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most beautiful outcomes.